The remote and beautiful islands of the Outer Hebrides. Their isolation means they've been only lightly touched by the 20th century. The islands are much as they were when the Vikings first landed over 1,000 years ago. And the old superstitions are still a part of everyday life.
We're very religious. Whether we're Christian or not, we're very, very religious. Even those who perhaps have abandoned God are still got that superstitious side to their natures. This is all very much part of our makeup, and graveyards particularly.
In this ancient and overgrown burial place, within the grounds of the ruined Howmore Chapel, lie the remains of the clan of Clanranald, buried here since 1490. Ranald MacDonald is the 24th chief of Clanranald. He believes the clan has its own special protection.
Sad thing is that anybody who actually tampers with the property of the clan have never really had any advantage, and have often has not had, met with some evilness, and the property has always been returned.
There are those who believe that many of the ancient medieval artifacts on the Hebrides have strange mystical powers.
The modern word might be curse, but I'd like to use something more remote than that. It is something that holds the whole spirit together, because we've been going so many, many centuries.
Whatever it is, the power of the curse has reappeared throughout the history of the clan. During the 1745 uprising, redcoat soldiers broke into the clan's island graveyard, intent on stealing the valuable St. Finan's bell.
Come back, you...
But the bell was to be their downfall. Whatever they did, it refused to stop its eerie, persistent ring and attracted the attention of the local caretaker. St. Finan's bell was returned to the Clanranald clan, its rightful home.
St. Finan's bell has been taken twice during the last couple of centuries. Both times, I'm told, the people who've taken it have met an unhappy end, but the bell has always returned to the altar.
The clan believes that whenever its property has been threatened, the curse has returned. The Clanranald stone bears the ancient symbols of the clan and marks the resting place of Alan Moidart, famous chief and protector of the clan who died 400 years ago. A reproduction of the gravestone was built into the walls of the clan's castle by French stonemasons in 1708. The castle took 7 years to build, but was occupied for only 7 years. On the night before the clan chief died in battle, the castle was consumed by fire. Still, the stone survived. But more recently, there was a further threat to its existence.
Early one morning, about 4 or 5 years ago, the man who runs the home farm heard this chipping, and he looked towards the castle ruins, and there was a man trying to prise out the armorial stone with a hammer and a chisel. So he just chased him for his life. We don't know to this day who he was.
It seemed that the legend of the clan was again protecting all its ancient monuments. But then disaster struck. The clan's most important relic, the Moidart gravestone, was stolen.
It was one morning when my niece wanted to go and look at the stone, and we went into the graveyard, and she said, "It's not here." I said, "Of course it's there, just move along round the corner." But it wasn't there. Later, one of the crofters showed me a mark where the stone had obviously been dragged to the parking place outside the church. Then we alerted the police.
As shockwaves hit the community, people wondered how the 300-weight gravestone could have been stolen without detection.
To get it out, Well, they must have used a small crowbar or something, and I mean, it's within the wit of man, but it would have been quite a difficult, determined journey to get that from chapel to boot of car.
Amongst the islanders, the theft reawakened memories of the old clan legends.
Well, the local people knew that to desecrate any graveyard is really bad, and because they were so shocked, they knew that no good end would come to the story.
The search for the stone continued, but only one man knew where it was hidden, in a tiny London bedsit. The legends had said the grave robber would be doomed to an early death. Would the curse prove to be simply a quaint piece of history? The clan chief never stopped believing in its power.
In terms of the clan, which was nearly 1,000 years, it wasn't a long time that it had gone, and I wasn't that concerned that it had gone forever. I thought that it would turn up sooner or later, somehow or other.
It was to be 5 years before the clan heard any news. The first signs of the missing gravestone surfaced here at the British Museum.
I was working late one night in February in the museum, and I got a phone call from the information desk. They told me there was a gentleman there who urgently wanted to see someone. They said he was a little upset. And so I spoke to him over the phone, and he came down to the department. We get all sorts of inquiries on the duty desk in the department, but this was one of the most curious stories that I've been involved in. He showed me a photo of a carved stone, which he said was in a nearby flat in Euston. He said his son had been on holiday some years previously on South Uist and had found it in a field and brought it back to London. He was in London for his son's funeral. His son had died quite suddenly a week or so previously.
On the 22nd of February 1995, almost 5 years to the day since the stone was stolen, 33-year-old Lauren Mabon died alone in a London flat. Only a few feet away from his bed was the stone of Clanranald. The coroner's verdict was death by misadventure.
I was not surprised, but when it was found in these circumstances, I said, it's a sort of thing that might have happened in the Celtic world, not in the heart of London.
When I first heard that the stone was found, of course, I was delighted. But as information gathered, I was a little concerned and saddened and slightly spooked by the fact of the boy's death. And it rather brought reminiscences of, various things I'd heard and the history of our clan.
Beneath the disquiet, there was some sympathy for the outsider who'd stolen the island's heritage.
Remember, everybody who live in our cities are searching for roots. They would do anything to catch up with roots, because a lot of people nowadays in the last 100 years have lost their roots and are wandering about the surface of the earth aimlessly, whereas we can describe the people we came from back to 7, 8, 9 generations.
So it was that on the night of June the 10th, 1995, the clan gathered at the quayside for the stone's return to its ancestral home on South Uist. Its final journey from London was almost complete. It was to arrive as it had left, in the boot of a car. The following day, the island turned out to celebrate.
They are very proud that the stone has come back, and it's been the story behind it is real out of the world how it found its way back, But people are delighted that it is back, and it's here to stay now.
And perhaps this time, the curse of the Clanranald clan will finally have been laid to rest. Some will dismiss the story as superstitious nonsense, but the clan leaders have managed to stay in power for nearly 1,000 years. So maybe Clanranald do have something watching over them.